to talk about desire and satisfaction. Mary Oliver, who is a well-known American poet, she's a naturalist. She derives a lot of her inspiration from nature and that kind of thing. And my son pointed this out to me a little bit ago, and I kind of liked it. I don't know, she wrote, exactly what prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down to the grass, and how to kneel down in the grass, and how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't every sun set at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? What is it that you plan to do? And that's the question I just want to throw out to you. What do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And I would say that the overwhelming answer that comes to us today, you are bombarded with what to do with your one precious, wild life. And it didn't just start. I mean, your grandparents sang about this years ago, and here it is. It's Sound of Music. Does anybody just watch it? Are you a closet Sound the Music person? Jordan is. I know Jordan is, yeah. Climb every mountain. If you know it, just say it with me. Climb every mountain. Forge every stream. Follow every rainbow until you find your dream. Isn't that great? All you got to do is climb a mountain and boom, your dream's there, man. If you live in the flat part of Michigan like we do, man, you're in trouble. Motivational speakers, internet, Facebook, Instagram, all have inspirational quotes about, man, if you can dream it, you can do it. Just follow your dreams and live it out. And you see it everywhere. Anybody like movies? I love movies. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but I understand he goes to the mirror of Erised to find his deepest desire of his heart. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but Erised, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, but just pretend that I am, his desire spelled backwards. And he goes to this thing and he just wants to find that deepest, desperate desire of his heart. I've always been fascinated with that scene because it reminds me of another guy, totally different movie genre. It's Captain Jack Sparrow, and he's got this compass, and whatever way the compass points, it points in the direction of the thing that he desires most. So I go back to the question is, what is it that you desire most? What is it that just speaks to your heart? The world can give us the impression that if we knew exactly what we want, when we wanted it, once we follow every rainbow, cross every river, climb every mountain, then we would be happy and we will be fulfilled. And if that were true, suicide would be going down, not up. Frustration with life would be going down, not up. Stress would be going down, not up. All the indicators tell us you can climb all the mountains you want, cross all the rivers you want. There's more to it than that. The world will promise you that. If all the dreams that I wish could come true and the deepest, most desperate desires of my heart could come true, we think then I would be happy. If I could just find that guy, if I could just find that girl, if I could just graduate from this school, if I could just make some money, if I had a sweet ride, man, it would all be good. The deepest desires of your heart. My son is a student at Oxford over in England. By the way, Dr. Eaton's nephew is over there now. But we were over there in a bookstore, and I learned something brand new. There is this field of study where people study the happiness level of other people. They study what it takes for you and I to be happy and to feel good about ourselves and good about life. I didn't realize it's not psychology. I can't remember the branch of study that it's in. So they study people around the world who study the people groups of the world to see who's the happiest people in the world. And so on a scale of 0 to 7, the top score was 5.8. The top score was 5.8. Well, you would imagine the Forbes 500 club or 400 club, the rich and the famous, the powerful, the elite, you know, those that have the money here in America. 5.8 out of 7. Dude, if I had Oprah's money, I'd be 7 out of 7. Bless you. I'm just simply saying 5.8. Can I tell you, tied went first place? Anybody want to guess who was tied at 5.8 with the richest of the rich in America? Anybody want to take a guess? Free tuition if you get it right. Woo, no. It is the Dutch, or it is the Amish Dutch in eastern Pennsylvania. The Amish Dutch. No, bless you. No TV. We're going to have a sneeze off here in a minute, all right? No TV, no automobiles. I mean, the horse and the buggy. I've been in Amish country. I mean, that's life. No cell phones. It is just a simple, basic way of life, and they are ridiculously over the top happy. 5.8. Just as happy as the people who have billions, who ride around in Lamborghinis while they ride around in a horse and a buggy. Kind of puts the squash to the little thing. If you could have it all, then you'd be happy. There are a lot of people who have it all and end it all. Well, tied with the Forbes 500 crowd, tied with the Amish Dutch in Pennsylvania, do you know the next group that is just as happy? 5.8 out of 7, tied with the Amish in Pennsylvania and the Forbes 500. I do not know how to say their name. I'll spell it Inughuit, the Inuit. In northern Greenland, they are north of the Arctic Circle. This is where they live. This is how they live. And they are happy as they can be. Suicide rate is almost non-existent. It's absolutely incredible. Evidently, there are other things in life that are to be valued more than what you hear sung about, see on a movie screen, what you hear talked about, what you read about on social media. These people are just as happy as they could be. In third place, all by themselves, these people are all tied for first place. In second place, all by themselves, you got to see this. This is the Maasai tribe in Uganda and in Kenya, where those two countries come together. Do you see the hut? I've been to Uganda and Kenya where that comes together. I can guarantee you that hut is made of wood and stone. The floor of it is dried cow manure. And the outside of that hut, which you and I would think is plaster, is a mortar mix of basically cow manure. And on the happiness scale, 5.4 out of 7. Absolutely incredible. You and I, in this room, except for the first picture group, you and I have more sitting here right now where you sit than the next 3 groups or the next 3 picture groups I just showed you, and yet we're so... Maybe we just look at it wrong. There's a lot to study here, but one thing's for sure, that following and living your dream is not the only key to personal happiness and satisfaction in life. If you turn to the book of Psalms, chapter 81, there's this interesting little take, and I don't have time to go through all the history of the book of Psalms, or Psalm 81, but he's recounting their history, the author is, and he says, "Hear me, my people, I will warn you." And he's using the history of their past, of being close to God and going away from God, and God trying to draw them back, and them wanting to have their own way, and following their dream, and climbing every mountain, and crossing every fortune, having their own dream. And so he just says, "Hear me, my people. I will warn you If you would only listen to me, Israel, you shall have no foreign god among you. You shall not worship any god other than me. Sounds like one of the 10 Commandments. I am the Lord your God who brought you up out of Egypt. Open wide your mouth and I'll fill it. What a promise. But my people would not listen to me. Israel would not submit to me. And I'm going to tell you that the next verse, I think, is one of the saddest verses in the Bible. So I gave them over to their own stubborn hearts to follow their own devices. The Hebrew word can also be translated, loosely translated, dreams or desires. They wanted their own way, and God finally said, okay, I've tried, I've blessed you, I gave you water out of the rock, 10 Commandments, I mean the whole thing, blessed you with a king, and still you walk away and you walk away and you walk away. And so he says, I gave you over to the desires of your own heart. The New Testament also has a verse that's found in Romans chapter 1, somewhere around verse 20 and 21. And it talks about how when they would ignore the wisdom of God and the holiness of God, and I'm paraphrasing here, and the goodness and the mercy of God, that God gave them over to the lustful desires of their own heart. He said, go ahead, follow your dreams. If you think your dreams is better than my plan for you, follow your dreams. That is such a sad verse, because his plan is always better than our dreams. Jeremiah chapter 19, I think it's verse 11. It says, I know the plans I have for you, saith the Lord. Plans not to harm you, but plans to give you hope and a future. His plans are so much better than our dreams. You can't even imagine. But we just kind of keep easing out there and just kind of doing that little, I got a, dream for me shuffle and want to do our own thing. And we get a little farther away from God and closer to the edge where he just says, okay, follow your own dreams. If you don't want what I've got better for you. Matter of fact, the phrase where it says God gave them over, right there in Psalm 81 and verse 12. It's an interesting little word. It means to surrender to an enemy. Ouch. God surrenders them to the deepest desires of their own heart. Tim Keller, a pastor in New York, church planner, I like him, and he describes this verse, and he says, the worst thing God can do to you, listen to this, he says, the worst thing God can do to you, and the most just form of punishment God could possibly give you is to give you over to the strongest desires of your heart. In other words, let all your wishes come true. That's the worst thing God could possibly do and the most fair. But yet, he sends the Holy Spirit. He sent Jesus Christ. I mean, we're celebrating Christmas soon. You saw it on the video. He sent his son into the world to call us to a better life, to a better plan, to a better way. That's the worst thing, Keller said, that God could possibly do. Why? Because your deepest desires and your greatest hopes and your biggest dreams are not enough to satisfy you. Let me tell you, I'm just going to tell it to you, because your deepest desires and your greatest hopes and your biggest dreams are not enough to satisfy you. There are some things you will dream that you just cannot do. I love basketball. I love basketball. I got a basketball heart and a midget body. I love basketball. Love it. One time in my life, and nobody has to be there. I mean, this could be the unseen miracle that I would never breathe a word to anybody. But if God would just somehow let me have a little bit of something and just elevate my body well past my vertical height, and I could slam dunk a basketball. Woo! I'm telling you. You talk about climbing, I'd climb every mountain to slam dunk a basketball. It isn't going to happen. Look at this. I'm sincere. I'm genuine. I'm authentic. I'm passionate. I want it. I dream it. I cannot wait for October 15th. You know what October 15th is? First day of college basketball practice. ESPN does this Midnight Madness thing. I can't wait. I stay up until it goes off, and then I watch it again. love college basketball? Dude. Oh, yeah, baby. I could have been that guy. If I'd have been 6'2", I'd have still been playing basketball somewhere. I love it. There are given to your own desire. And sometimes we waste a lifetime trying to want something that isn't the best thing for us. Your heart's deepest desires will not satisfy you. You know, some of you, when you graduate from college, let's just make a little storyline up. You're going to graduate from college, and let's say that you graduate with some kind of a mathematics, accounting, business degree. And so the bank down the road hires you, and you start maybe with an introductory salary of, say, maybe $45,000 with benefits, and you're going, oh, man, that's more money and more benefits and stuff you've ever had in your lifetime. And then all of a sudden, you try to pay for a house, a car, you try to pay for insurance, you try to pay for a wife, and 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 you realize $45,000 isn't going to go very far. So then all of a sudden, that huge amount of money, you just think, whoo, man, I gotta get up in the 60s. And then when you hit the 60s, you're not gonna, most people just raise their level of spending, and then you gotta get in the 70s. I'm just simply saying that if you and I look to the deepest desires of the heart to satisfy us, it never will. Oscar Wilde was a prolific, famous writer in the late 1800s who in his 30s grew to incredible popularity and spent much of his life as an atheist. He said this, when the gods, as an atheist, when the gods want to punish you, they give you what you pray for. Deion Sanders, one of the greatest football players of all time, a sports writer. I think I got his. I'm like way behind. There we go. All right. Deion Sanders, one of the greatest football players of all time, played for the Dallas Cowboys. Are you guys Cowboy fans because you're like close to? I am so sorry for you. I will pray for your eternal soul. I do like, I'm an Ohio State Buckeye fan, so I do like Ezekiel Elliott, you know, because he's our guy and that kind of thing. But he was the greatest football player of all time. Sports writers said when he was on the field that his body could do things that defied the laws of physics. And somehow they didn't apply to him. He wrote an autobiography, Deion Sanders. The subtitle was, How Success Almost Ruined My Life. It was 2 nights after the Super Bowl. And I believe it was one or two. I believe it was 2 nights after the Super Bowl. He was lying on his bed after he had won the Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys. He had already went out and bought a Ferrari and bought another big, huge car and bought a car for his mama, sleeping next to a supermodel girlfriend. And he laid awake that night thinking to himself, he had just won the Super Bowl, cashed in the biggest paycheck. I mean, riding on top of the world. And he's lying there thinking, is life really worth living? He hit every goal, every dream he ever wanted, and still his life was empty. One more movie. You guys know this one. I'm not a musical guy. I don't know if you know that or not, but you'll know this song. Just blurt the movie out when the towers of gold are still too little. These hands could not hold the world, but it will. It'll never be enough. Never be enough. For me, never, never. The Greatest Showman. It's probably the only song in the movie that's correct. It'll never be enough. It'll never be enough. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. You were and you are uniquely created for more than this world has to offer. There is only one thing that will truly satisfy you, sustain you, excite you, fulfill you, be rewarding for you over a lifetime, and that is a satisfying, growing relationship with Jesus Christ. anything less than that. Your heart was not made for your little desires. You were created to house the great, expansive God of this universe in your soul. Don't cheapen yourself to settle for anything less than that. You are wonderfully, uniquely, Psalm 139, created by a loving God, a holy God, who has this plan for your life. And part of that plan, the main part of that plan, is to have a personal relationship with his son, Jesus Christ, that totally captivates your heart. You want to talk about desire? You want to talk about satisfaction? Only Jesus Christ can truly satisfy your soul. Can we just bow our heads for just a moment? I'm not trying to pop anybody's bubble. I'm just simply saying, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Put Jesus first. Put him first. And then Matthew chapter 6 says, then all of these things will be added unto you. You see the desires of your heart. But that doesn't come first. What comes first is Jesus. And not just saying a little prayer in a church and going to an altar. That's important. But a daily faith where you're living it out. You're growing. You're sharing. You're living. And your heart is being filled with Jesus Christ. So I'm going to pray. And then I just want you just to sit and just reflect on the song that they're going to sing. They may ask you to stand and sing. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do, but we're going to end kind of with a song, and then Alexa will come up and kind of wrap everything up. Can I just have the privilege of praying for you? Thank you so much for listening. Our Heavenly Father, I pray for each and every one of us. Lord, help me never to get suckered into thinking that my dreams will make me happy. True, sustaining joy and happiness is only found in my relationship with you, and then everything grows from that, builds from that. So, Father, I pray that you help us just to put you first today. Put you right there in the center of our heart and just let you just expand in our heart and fill every crevice and every nook and cranny. And you will never, never disappoint us. Never leave us nor forsake us. You're an awesome God. In Jesus' name.